this is the national statement on FTX.
Following is a national statement from the Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Senator the Honorable Ryan Pinder.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me this evening as I offer a national statement on behalf of the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas on the current situation regarding FTX Digital Markets Limited. Tonight, while I speak on behalf of the government, it is in fact the Securities Commission of the Bahamas which is the lead actor in respect of the present situation. To date, the Securities Commission has issued two significant statements concerning the provisional liquidation proceedings involving FTX and other related matters. I encourage you all to read those statements for yourselves.
Okay, so he's not even going to mention what they were.
The known facts and the application of the relevant laws and regulatory regime in relation to FTX. These statements should also be read in conjunction with the communication made to the House of Assembly by Prime Minister Davis on November 22nd.
Oh my God, they're just like, do your own research. What is this?
While cryptocurrency and digital assets are part of a new and complex industry, on a basic level, recent events involving the insolvency crisis experienced by the FTX group of companies have been experienced around the world in practically every sector. To that extent, what happened can more readily be understood as a case of a very large business failure as a result of questionable internal management practices and corporate governance. Given how quickly things have moved, it's hard to believe that it was only 25 days ago, on November 2nd, that an article first appeared on the news site CoinDesk with the details of a leaked financial statement of Alameda Research, a trading company also founded by Sam Bankman-Fried.
So to this, when I was listening on that Twitter space, I guess like there's kind of a couple of different things that happened that really kind of blew the lid off of this. And it was that BitBoy, I guess, was looking into FTX because he was getting like rumors and like inside info that the whole thing was kind of mucked. And so they were working with like CNBC or NBC or something on this piece. And then CZ had like this tweet, all this other info and whatnot. And so it was like a collaboration. And there was one other thing, but I forget what it was. But it was CZ putting out this info and then it getting corroborated by what research had been done by BitBoy and like the news stations to kind of push it out there. And so it was kind of actually a few different things that was happening.
I want to pause here to emphasize that among the over 100 companies located in dozens of jurisdictions around the world, FTX Digital Markets is the only entity regulated in the Bahamas. Alameda Research is not regulated in the Bahamas. The balance sheet of Alameda Research, CoinDesk reported at the time, revealed that a large portion of their assets were held in FTT. This is a token issued by an FTX entity that granted token holders a discount on trading fees on their exchange. 4 days later, on November 6th, Binance, a crypto exchange that is a major rival to FTX, announced that it was selling off all its substantial holdings in this same FTT token. This announcement prompted a large number of FTX investors to withdraw hundreds of millions of dollars in digital assets from FTX, causing a liquidity crunch. In short, FTX was experiencing the equivalent of a run on the bank. 2 days later, on November 8th, it was reported that Binance had entered a non-binding agreement to buy FTX. However, the very next day, on November 9th, Binance pulled out of the deal.
Okay, do you guys remember? Oh, this was crazy. So everyone's like, oh my God, FTX is going down, but it wasn't to like the severity that we know today. And it was, oh, hold on, wait, CZ's going to step in. They're going to buy Binance. It's all going to be good. And I'm pretty sure the crypto markets, when the FTX news like originally broke about all this kind of stuff and people didn't hate Sam just yet, we had like the crash. And then it kind of recovered for like a couple of hours until, you know, the next day when CZ was like, yeah, it's not so good.
And it was only 1 day following this, on November 10th in 2022, the Securities Commission of the Bahamas announced that it had taken action to freeze the assets of FTX Digital Markets. Over the course of 8 days, market confidence was lost in a company which at one point had a $32 billion valuation. The Securities Commission deserves the highest praise for moving so swiftly and decisively to suspend FTX Digital Markets license and appoint the provisional liquidators. The Securities Commission was able to move so quickly because of the strength of the legislative framework which was already in place. No other jurisdiction in the world moved or could have moved this quickly in circumstances such as these. We understand the enormous interest in this story.
Enormous.
But as a government, we decided right away that what was most important was not to engage with speculation or gossip, but instead to proceed methodically and deliberately in accordance with the exercise of due process and the rule of law. It is a very complex investigation.
No
The
shit,
structure and
Sherlock.
reach of FTX activities are truly global, as they consist of over 100 companies located in dozens of jurisdictions. And tonight, I can underscore that we believe that faith in the Bahamas as a responsible jurisdiction will only be strengthened as events continue to unfold. The digital assets in
I mean, like, wait. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, do you believe this guy? What are we thinking here? Like, so instead of like talking about certain things, he's like, "Oh, we're doing a lot. We don't want to speculate. Going to be due diligence. You guys are going to be impressed with what we're doing." And it's like, okay, what?
industry is still in its infancy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
The emergence of any new industry will inevitably feature ups and downs
Yes,
as
correct.
innovators
We know
attempt
that, but
to
you don't need
harness
to
new
say it.
technology to new applications. Since the official launch of Bitcoin in January of 2009, the possibilities that digital assets, smart contracts, distributed ledger technology, and fintech
Yo, he's defending in the
represented
NBA, eh? Yo, he's
peak interest
defending.
across the financial and technology worlds. Despite the rapid growth in the industry, by 2018, many jurisdictions had not introduced any legal or regulatory framework that specifically addressed digital assets. There are still no agreed upon standards globally.
Correct.
Regulators around the world are still grappling with the issue of how to regulate digital assets. There are a number of reasons.
And the best part is somebody's like, you know, you have a team, right? So the whole Bahamian government's like, all right, lads, we're getting together. We got to figure out who we're having talk. And then they pick this guy. Now, I will give him credit because he's not like stuttered on anything, and he's been very like clear with his thoughts. But it's like it's so friggin' heavily scripted from some PR person that's just sitting there like, hold on, we got to use this word. We got to have something that's big over here. We probably shouldn't mention this. Also, defend the name. Defend the name. He's the Senator, the Honorable Ryan Pinder, Attorney General.
For this, including the complexity of regulating the digital asset space. But most regulators actually lack the broad statutory mandate or the legal scope to provide any regulation or even legal clarity on cryptocurrencies, digital assets, and their related businesses.
I mean, so here's maybe kind of like a hot take, but like, what if they, like Bahamas as a whole, come out and they like have very favorable crypto laws after this, right? I said it the other day, but I mean, some of these countries, like somebody's going to try to take the pro crypto stance to a whole nother level. And if Bahamas is able to do that, I'm very intrigued what ends up happening. And I mean, maybe they're not like even that bad right now, but I mean, definitely kind of stains them with FTX being there.
Digital assets are in use in jurisdictions across the world. In North America,
there we go,
Central
Legal
and
Affairs,
South America,
Attorney General,
in Europe,
or Minister
Middle
of
East, Asia, Africa, and in the South Pacific. They are being utilized and traded in countries
How much do you think he gets
there's a
paid?
regulatory framework in place
$200K a year?
The
More?
Bahamas decided that we needed to actively engage in this sector for two primary reasons. First, to take advantage of the strategic opportunity of this new sector. And second, to protect our existing financial services sector from the risks which unregulated activities connected with cryptocurrency and other digital assets may bring about, such as illicit finance. The Bahamas, with significant expertise in international financial services regulation, decided we would not allow this activity in our jurisdiction without the establishment of a robust legal and regulatory framework, reflective of the best practices observed in the industry and in compliance with recommendations of global standard setters. In 2020, the Bahamas enacted the Digital Asset and Registered Exchanges Act. It remains a pioneering piece of legislation.
Yeah, what's up,
recognized
Alex?
Internationally,
Have you
as
seen
being
this yet?
innovative and forward-thinking. One example of this, earlier this year,
Yo.
Assistant United States Secretary of State for the Western Hemisphere
Triple double
Affairs,
bang or done.
Brian
Thanks so much for the
Nichols
prime.
noted, and I quote, "The Bahamas has long been an important financial center globally.
It's an absolute gong
and
show.
It is pioneering responsible cryptocurrency regulation. It is the provisions of the DARE Act which gave the authority to the Securities Commission to act as quickly and decisively as it did in the case of FTX Digital Markets." So how did we get to this moment with FTX Digital Markets?
Okay, here we go.
In July of 2021, FTX Digital Markets was incorporated in the Bahamas and applied to be registered as a digital asset business under the DARE Act. In September of 2021, just over 1 year ago, the Securities Commission, after many months of prior engagement, approved FTX Digital Markets license to operate.
Wait, how long has FTX been around? Like, it's only been a year? No shot. No effing way. FTX founded in May 2019. Wow, that's crazy. I mean, it does kind of highlight like how crazy that shit got, because that is like speed of light.
FTX operated globally for over 2 years prior to coming to the Bahamas, having been headquartered previously in Hong Kong. FTX Digital Markets quickly set about establishing a major presence in the Bahamas, buying properties, hiring and training Bahamian staff, and sponsoring a number of charitable and community ventures. In many ways, this behavior was no different from that which we see from many of our corporate citizens. Meanwhile, in the wider economy, inflation battered countries across the globe, leading to higher interest rates. The invasion of Ukraine added to the volatility of energy prices, and a broad range of technology companies slumped in the stock market and laid off tens of thousands of workers. The international digital assets industry experienced a major downturn as well.
Facts.
As the Prime Minister Davis pointed out in his statement to Parliament, and I quote, "There have been both booms and busts in the world of crypto, and this year has been a significant bust, with total market capitalization..."
You know what? I'm kind of starting to like this guy.
falling from $3 trillion to $800 billion or lower. The steep sell-offs and declining volumes have led analysts to describe this time as a crypto winter. In the spring of this year, Terra Luna, a stablecoin system collapsed.
Is he just going back and bringing up like all the other bad shit that's happened in crypto? Like, okay, so there's two trains of thoughts with this, right? Is for you and I, we're probably familiar with like most of the happenings on like an absolute surface level, right? I mean, maybe this is just for the general population, right? Where it's, hey, you need to like explain everything, but we're being judgmental because we're like, yeah, we already know that happened, but when realistically, this is for everyone that might not be in the know at all. Because it's been pretty decent at describing stuff, but it also feels like it's kind of like, you know what? All this other shit happens, so like, this is just par for the course.
Leading eventually
It's
to
ridiculous.
a wave of
Hippopotamus?
bankruptcies by crypto lending platforms.
True, Alex.
Like Celsius, 3 Hours Capital, and Voyager. For a time, it appeared that FTX would bail out and acquire the assets of some of these distressed companies. But instead, FTX itself could not avoid the cascading failures and faced its own severe insolvency crisis. So I ask, where are we now? As I said at the outset, there's an active and ongoing investigation of the affairs of FTX Digital Markets, involving both civil and criminal authorities. As is provided for under our regulatory framework, We are already working with a number of specialists and experts and will continue to do so as the need arises. There are a number of protective measures which the regulator has taken under the authority conferred by the Supreme Court of the Bahamas. For the time being, we will not set out those measures in any further detail until we are confident that doing so will not jeopardize any aspect of the ongoing investigations.
Okay, so on that comment right there, everybody's been like, "Oh, what if SBF is like involved with the United States government, right? Specifically, Gary Gensler, who's like supposed to be Mr. Regulator, right? Like, how much do we think this potentially affects governments within or government representatives within the Bahamas? Is it like a lot? Is it potentially one or two? Because that statement right there makes me think like, okay, maybe there's something that they're like, we don't want leaked. Hold on, we got to make sure that we can get around it.
We urge all authorities, here and abroad, at a minimum, to exercise at least the same amount of prudence and restraint in their public commentary as we do, so as not to prejudice any of the proceedings that are ongoing. It is extremely regrettable that in Chapter 11 filings for bankruptcy protection made in New York last week, that the new chief executive of FTX Trading Limited, not the Bahamas-based FTX Digital Markets, but an affiliate company incorporated in Antigua and Barbuda, misrepresented the timely action taken by the Securities Commission and used inaccurate allegations lodged in the transfer motion they had filed to do so. It is possible that the prospect of multi-million-dollar legal and consultancy fees is driving both their legal strategy and their intemperate statements. In any case, we urge prudence and accuracy in all future filings in all matters. As for what comes next, the Securities Commission, our Financial Intelligence Unit, and the Financial Crimes Unit of the Royal Bahamas Police Force will continue to investigate the facts and circumstances regarding FTX's insolvency crisis and any potential violations of Bahamian law. They will hold accountable any responsible companies and individuals and act in cooperation with other regulatory agencies and law enforcement bodies, both here in the Bahamas and in other countries that are affected. These events remind us of the lessons learned from securities and other financial regulation about the need for strong cross-border cooperation. The public worldwide will be best served by a strong international regulatory cooperation. That means more jurisdictions taking up the challenge, following our lead, and implementing strong regulatory frameworks. We will, as we always do, cooperate with international regulatory and enforcement agencies.
Okay, so quick little thought on the, or not, maybe not really this, but a lot of people have been saying, okay, like, what if Sam Bankman gets out of the Bahamas, where all these potential legal issues could happen, where he could get jailed, et cetera, and people are saying, oh, maybe he goes to Dubai. But during a Twitter space last night, they talked about how Dubai might actually not be safe for them because there's actually like a lot of entities within Dubai that had stuff locked up with FTX on top of just different laws and stuff there, where it's the assumption that, oh, like it's kind of like free and safe and whatnot, but I guess like when you actually dive into it, it's not.
Ladies and gentlemen, while new facts emerge every day, there's still so much to discover.
True.
And while there may well be a number of personal tragedies associated with this fall of this company, there appears to be little contagion beyond the digital assets sphere, both here in the Bahamas and around the world.
Yeah. What? Hold on a minute. There appears to be little contagion outside of the digital asset world? I mean, do you even need to say that? Like, I wasn't thinking of anything beyond that. Like, if I'm watching this and I got boned from having money in FTX or some shit, and this clown says that, yo, I'm pissed.
In fact, Bahamians and other stakeholders in the Bahamas should take great confidence from the Standard & Poor's ratings forecast for the Bahamas that was issued Tuesday, November 22nd. Standard & Poor's projected a stable outlook for our economy, resting in part on the assumption that there will be no material adverse impact on the Bahamas from the worldwide collapse of FTX. But as our investigations continue, I must emphasize that ill-informed speculation is not helpful, neither to the customers of FTX, nor the creditors, nor their investors, or in fact, the general public. Any attempt to lay the entirety of this debacle at the feet of the Bahamas because FTX is headquartered here would be a gross oversimplification of reality. The dozens and dozens of companies involved, registered in numerous jurisdictions across the world, the scope of related parties, including some of the world's most sophisticated investors, demonstrate the cross-border, multi-jurisdictional nature of this event. And it is deep.
Like, okay, so let me ask this question then. If you're trying to do an overview, and I know probably not everybody that's tuned in has watched this entire thing, but like, what do you think the key message is that they were trying to convey within the speech? To me, it's that the Bahamians, or Bahamas as a whole, like, wasn't at fault, and they did everything correctly. Like, it's not anything beyond that. That's like the focal point of what they're trying to get across with this.
Deeply misguided to conclude that reluctance to communicate the details of an active investigation means that nothing is happening. In fact, the government's discretion stems from how seriously we take our commitment to the rule of law and the independence of the securities regulator in the Bahamas. We have been shocked at the ignorance of those who assert that FTX came to the Bahamas because they did not want to submit to regulatory scrutiny. In fact, the world is full of countries in which there is no legislative or regulatory authority over
Alex,
the
I like
crypto
that.
and digital asset business.
Bottomist, true.
But I must say, the Bahamas is not one of
Passing
these
accountability, vague empty
countries. We have
words to
been
gain
able
back
to
citizens'
assert our
trust.
leadership in this new
Wonder how
field
many
because
Bahamians got
in
mucked
the
by
digital
it.
assets arena, what matters is not the size of your landmass, nor the size of your GDP, but the ingenuity and rigor of your people and your jurisdiction. When a respected risk and market integrity firm ranked the world's digital assets regulatory regimes earlier this year, our country, the Bahamas, was first, and for a good reason.
First.
The digital asset sector is a high-profile, embryonic sector of the Bahamian financial services sector, an area where the Bahamas has demonstrated global leadership for decades. As a world-leading destination for tourism,
It's
we
wild,
have been
man.
audacious before in asserting that it's better in the Bahamas.
Have you seen this video before,
We will
boss?
not hesitate to do so again.
It came out last night.
My fellow Bahamians, we know that the world is watching. Insofar as these are matters of pressing global interest and concern, we welcome the attention.
Welcome.
We have every confidence that the world will see how our policies, our laws, and regulatory regime have so much to commend to others. We have much to be proud of. We do not apologize for our ambition for Bahamians to be at the forefront of this exciting, innovative sector.
What? Yo, that might have been the best line of this entire session. Hold on a second. We do not apologize for trying to be at the forefront. Hold on. We're going back like 20 seconds.
Watching. Insofar as these are matters of pressing global interest and concern, we welcome the attention. We have every confidence that the world will see how our policies, our laws, and regulatory regime have so much to commend to others. We have much to be proud of. We do not apologize for our ambition for Bahamians to be at the forefront of this exciting, innovative sector. The Bahamas stands behind its decision to regulate digital assets and related businesses.
I mean, that's good for us.
Stand behind
in
the
theory.
quality of the regulations that exist. We continue to invite digital asset businesses to operate from within this jurisdiction. All told, we remain one of the few countries in the world with such a complete and effective regulatory framework. The actions of the Securities Commission of the Bahamas, which they took on the 10th and 12th of November, were to protect the clients and creditors of FTX Digital Markets. This demonstrates why the DARE Act is among the world's leading legislative frameworks for the regulation of digital assets and related businesses. Like the dot-com boom and bust of the past, we believe that the turbulence currently being experienced by the digital assets sector will pass, and that there is still much potential for growth and
Honorable Ryan
opportunity ahead.
Pinder just called Bull Run.
In
Let's
fact,
go.
I am fully confident that as matters progress and the activities of the FTX group are either
Harmony, I don't know.
restructured
You'd
or
think,
wound
but
down,
strange
the
things have
Bahamas will
happened.
emerge, held in even higher esteem. A turbulent cryptocurrency period on a global basis and the downfall of a single Bahamian company in no way threatens a bright future for the Bahamas. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Those entrepreneurs who are ready to create new financial products that serve a broader range of consumers remain welcome to come to the Bahamas. They can be certain that we have in place a principled, fair, comprehensive, and ethical regulatory regime.
This is a sales pitch.
They can
What?
also be certain we will act quickly and decisively to enforce that regulatory regime if and when our laws and regulations are breached.
Yo, Alex, you're right.
They will see that the Bahamas is a place of laws. They will see that the rule of law and the exercise of due process characterize the integrity of our jurisdiction. And they will have found yet another reason why it's better in the Bahamas. Thank you very much.
This has been a national statement from the Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Senator the Honorable Ryan.
Okay, yo, quick little follow-up, guys. What do we rate that out of 10? From delivery, listen, not gonna lie, I think he nailed it. From the content inside, wow, that went into, hey, we're addressing the fact that this guy just stole like hundreds of billions of dollars. Well, maybe not hundreds of billions, but like several billions. And open your business in Bahamas. Thank you very much. We have laws and regulatory frameworks. We want broader monetary systems. Yeah, that was. Woo! That was an experience and a half.